mean, it's a public school, and I would not be acting without that high school. So, all gratitude towards them. And I don't know, I saw John Leguizamo in Ghetto Clown, and I saw In the Heights, and Slava's Snow Show, which is another show, and Death of a Salesman. And these were all plays that just felt like major, I don't know, it's just like, it's just so cool when you see, I just saw Killing of a Sacred Deer too, and it's like Barry Keoghan's performance in that, he's the guy in that, it's so weird, and I don't know, anytime you see a performer in any medium, especially for me when they're younger, I can see like they're my age or something, I'm like, it's just inspiring, and I don't know, again, like I really don't feel like I'd be acting without that high school, so it's just a good fortune of being able to be in a situation where there's public arts funding available, and it's important.
We're going to open it up to a few questions. Oh, wow, I barely need to say anything. Jeez. Maybe we should get right to it since you have so many questions. Let's start in the front, and then we'll move back, I promise. Sure.
Hi, my name is Shemaya. I have a real question first. So obviously the movie, so obviously the movie plays on a lot of nostalgia. You did mention psychedelic furs. So if the movie took place in 2017, what song do you think captures the essence of 2017? I know you mentioned Cardi B in your Gotham Awards. And then also, my friend DM'd Lil B yesterday and said that you were an up-and-coming rapper and also future Oscar Award winner. And he said that you have his blessing to knight anybody that you want.
I saw the, well, I am a big Lil B fan, I don't know how many people even know that, but to the first part we were saying, I don't know what the song would be today. I almost feel like I don't have the musical palette that's like advanced enough. I don't know if, I don't know if anybody keeps up with this, but I'm a huge Frank Ocean fan. And, yes. And I don't know, I feel like his music was on repeat during the shoot, but also a lot of stuff that'd be very surprising to people. And my buddy Will, who's staying there, was there for about a third of the shoot, and I think if people knew the kind of music I was going to be totally shocked. That has nothing to do with the movie, but...
More questions? Yes, you, sir.
Thank you very much. I love the movie. What was the relationship you had with the author? Because I know that one scene with the city sheriff, he's one of the actors there. What was that like to have him on the set?
It was awesome. I mean, I pinch myself sometimes when I'm in these rooms, and for that case it's Andre Osmonder's a novel, and Luke is there, or James Ivory will be there, and I almost wish I was a little bit older so I knew how to appreciate it more. And yet, the cool thing with Andre, and that's what's so cool about doing a Q&A in New York, I am a New York guy, I'm sure there's a lot of New Yorkers in here, he wrote Call Me By Your Name in a one-bedroom on the Upper West Side, you know? So there's a, and I don't know, I did a play right before doing Call Me By Your Name in New York, so I just feel like there's a weird New York through line with this movie, and maybe it's just in my head, but, and the relationship with him, I didn't know him too much before the film started. James Ivory, who wrote the screenplay, I got to spend a week with him in Claverack, upstate New York, and which was insane. I mean, he has props from all his films there, and we watched Morris together, or rather I watched Morris and he fell asleep, and couldn't resist having a picture of that. And with Andre, I didn't get to know him too much before the beginning of the show. Like you said, he plays this, he's in the movie itself, which is awesome because there isn't one big character in this film that doesn't have a long origin story. Everyone is related to Luke in some capacity. And then there was the gift, we were shooting that scene we were talking about earlier with the monument that day when he came to set, which was a scary scene. And he kind of gave us his blessing after that scene. And we were all at a dinner and he said something like, so many authors he knows, he was friends with, whose books get made into movies. Movies are never the same. I mean, I'm a big fan of books, and 99 times out of 100, the book holds the standard. And he said something to us where he was like, you know, he not like total free license, but he was like, I give this to you guys, you know, do what you will with it. And that was such a relief, because if I'm most nervous about fans of the book and what they think about the movie, I'm the most nervous for what Andre thinks. So, and it's funny like seeing him go through some of this press stuff now. The same with Luca too, because I feel like actors are kind of camera oriented. It's funny to see like Luca and Andre kind of like trying to figure it out.
Whoa. On the aisle over here, please, miss. Yes.
I noticed that there are a lot of flies. Is that a choice, or like was that just like there were a lot of flies in your head?
That's just
Yeah, I'll answer this the way Luca answers it, which is that in Lombardia there's a ton of flies, and but it really adds to the movie. And even one of the supposedly in the background, one of these shots with the menorah at the end of the film, you can see one of the dead flies in the background. For Luca, he always said that was a symbol for the end of the summer. And to the most apt of viewers, for that last scene, there's a fly that comes on me as I'm weeping. And it's funny because a lot of people were in the editing process were calling Luca, or people that had seen the film, were begging him to digitally remove that fly. And he was the one that always said, no, I think it's a good idea. And it's so helpful to the movie, it makes you feel real. And there's that weird bit too where like, it looks like I'm blowing in my armpit or something. There's a fly there though. I don't know how clear that is. I'm always like, this looks like a random weird thing I'm doing. But anyway.
Let's go to the gentleman in the back row here on the, yeah, you sir.
Thank you for being with us tonight, and congratulations on the Golden Globe nomination. I've seen this movie like 5 times, and I always have a question regarding the necklace. So the star of David, I know like Elio didn't have that necklace at the start of the movie, but then after the scene that he had the nose bleeding in the dining table, then he started to have that again. Just wonder like what does that mean? Like what does that mean? Like he started to wear the necklace again?
I don't know, I think like the first answer to that is it means whatever it means to people in the audience. It almost doesn't matter what I have to think about it. But if I did, it's like Oliver's unabashedness with the Star of David and his lack of any reluctance towards wearing it, and the Americanness that embodies and how unabashed that is, just very attractive to Elio. And it doesn't make sense to him, and at first is abrasive, and there's an irritation to that attraction, and then ultimately for Elio it becomes a symbol of his own independence and blossoming adulthood, and I don't know, ability to connect with Oliver and feel like a brother in some way. And again, that's just what I would think about, which doesn't really, it's what you think about it.
Let's go to the back over here. Yes, miss.
Oh.
Yep.
Hi, so I'm Ella. I'm 17, and I've seen this a couple of times now, and a lot of ways I see this as like a coming-of-age film, and I'm wondering what you think in terms of its importance for anyone really around that age to evaluate in the film, and kind of just your thoughts on like, this is a coming-of-age tale. Also, could you shout out my friend Jenny? She couldn't make it. She booked us to the party yet. She loves you. She would so appreciate
Is
it.
it Jenny?
Jenny.
Jenny, like French?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, is that now?
Yeah.
What's up, Jenny? We're in the middle of a Q&A, but blessings, nice to meet you over iPhone.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, it is a coming of age. I don't think there's any dirty word about that. And if any 17-year-old, it's not any moment, it's not an Elio moment that I think a 17-year-old would be apt to take away from it, and I try to take away right now. It's the speech that the father gives at the end, and the bit that, again, besides the 30-year-old bit that always resonates with me is that pain is to be felt and not to squash that. And I think especially as it relates to romance at a young age and expectations we have, it's easy to beat yourself up, or also the idea that if you're feeling bad and crummy when you're breaking up with someone, or someone that's close to you has passed away or something horrible, that if you're feeling crummy, you're doing it the exact right way and there's nothing wrong about it, which can be weird because you feel so bad, but that's how it goes.
Let's go to Miss on the aisle. Yes.
I have a question that's more related to your acting. You talked before about like furrowing your brow being cliche, and something that I noticed was that you do a lot of like almost choreographed dancing in it. There's like these little spins and like jumps and heels and stuff that you do, and I was wondering how much that was sort of like off the cuff, and how much you were trying to respond to what was going on and relate it to what you were saying and how you were interacting with people.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, it felt like, kind of alluding to the question earlier, like, you know, you're playing a coming of age, and because it's physical in tone, it felt like there was a lot of freedom to physicalize. And but I remember all, you know, those little spins and stuff. I remember like halfway through the shoot thinking to myself like, man, I gotta cut back on that, because like, half this movie's gonna be like me twirling around. Like, So I don't know. The good thing about this again, and it's really all the credit in the world to Luca because he's making me look really good. But when you trust your director, then you can try something where you're punching the wall and he's telling you like that's so wrong, and moments like that, whether it was over physicalizing it or whatever have you, Luca would quickly be in our ear and say, yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah.
Time for one more. Who desperately needs to ask a question or they're gonna die tonight? What do you think, Timmy? That's all on the bad cop. Okay, right here.
Hi. My name's Jean Marie. So this is my first time seeing this movie, and you really transcended this role and you convey such strong emotion. And I'm curious if it was ever at all difficult for you to take Elio's emotions from book and script to screen, and how much of yourself did you like throw into Elio, and at all when you came back to New York, did you feel as though the experience had changed you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, there's many answers to all of that, and it's exactly it's exactly how you're describing it, which is, it felt like if there's no antagonizer in this movie, there's no like plot twist, it's all about the relationship, and it felt like if Army and I got that wrong anywhere, it was gonna fall apart. So the requisite was to be as vulnerable as possible, leave it on the page, or leave it on film. And then when it ends, that's exactly how you described it. It's perfect because Luca was going to shoot Suspiria, which will come out soon, and Army is like a movie star. And I went back to school in the fall in New York. I was like, when the fuck's this movie gonna come out? And it was surreal. Like I went to shoot a movie called Lady Bird right after too. And I don't know, it just felt surreal. Felt like I don't know, if you were really careful about your mental health, it'd be 2 weeks away from ending the movie and you'd start winding down and being worried less about how much you were giving of yourself to it, but instead, obviously you want to give it your all. And so that it ended, and I really did feel very, like, drained or something. And this movie's just so I don't know, like, it's been great getting to spend all this time with Army since the movies, since we're getting to be talking about it, because I really have a brother there again. This will be the thing, I'll be lucky if I can top this ever, and that's the strong, and with Luca too, and I have like brethren there, which is really nice, so, yeah.
Well, it's always exciting to see a remarkable film and a remarkable parts matched up with a young actor at like a key moment in their career, and it certainly happened here for Timothée. I want to thank Timothée for being here tonight. Spread the good word of Call Me By Your Name to your friends and family. And I'll just ask you guys to stay seated because this guy's like now Paul McCartney, he's a Beatle, so we need to escape before he's mobbed. Thank you guys for coming out.